Hey there, I'm Frank Mitchell. On this channel, it's all about helping you understand your car and keeping it running the way it should. Whether it's routine maintenance or solving those tricky problems, I've got you covered. If you find this useful, give the video a like, hit that subscribe button, and be sure to watch till the end. You might learn something that saves you time and money. All right, let's get
The
started.
hybrid engine has a number of advantages, with a technological development of this technology that makes it key when opting for one of these vehicles. But how does a hybrid car work? Let's try to explain it. When we refer to pure hybrids, as we are going to do here, we are talking about the acronym HEV, hybrid. Electric vehicle, or hybrid electric vehicle, not plug-in, but that regenerates autonomously the electric energy it uses. How a hybrid works. It is normal to find a thermal engine of Atkinson cycle, with not very high powers, and with important reductions of consumption in its operation, to which an electric machine and a specific battery are joined. The decrease in the power of the thermal engine is compensated by the power of the electric motor. The combined power is not the sum of the two, because at no time will be working at 100% together at maximum power to add. Thus we will easily end up with cars of 100 or 200 horsepower. We already have our HEV. It is said that HEVs are self-charging electric vehicles, as they do not need an external socket to recharge the battery, but recover it through regenerative braking, deceleration and, of course, the heat engine. This recovered energy is then used again by the electric motor. Broadly speaking, this is what a hybrid vehicle is. Opinion on hybrid cars. One of the strong points of hybrid engines is reliability. In the reliability rankings of recent years, Japanese brands, which were the first to incorporate hybridization, are systematically in the top positions thanks to their long history, yes, but also thanks to the incorporation of hybrid technology. In hybrid vehicles there are fewer complex things that can break, such as complex direct injection systems or turbos, which in hybrid systems have been replaced by electric machines that help the engine to move in certain circumstances. In hybrid vehicles there is also no need to incorporate particle filtering and regeneration systems that must be incorporated in thermal engines only after combustion to reduce the exhaust of these particles, since in the thermal part of the hybrid not so many particles are created, and therefore it is not necessary to incorporate these filters and systems. This leads us to the fact that the maintenance of this type of vehicles, having eliminated some elements, will have less maintenance, and therefore will be more economical to maintain. Another point in favor of hybrids. Of course, the few maintenance to be done are expensive, and a possible breakdown of the electrical system can also be costly, but this is if it happens, that if it does not break, in the long run we save money on maintenance. To go into more detail, the maintenance, for example, of the brake discs and pads, in a hybrid will be less because initially the brake that acts as the electric one, in order to regenerate energy and transform kinetic energy into electrical energy. Only when we need to brake a lot does the mechanical brake come into operation, thus suffering much less and therefore having a longer service life. Another point in favor of hybridization is consumption, and therefore emissions. By having less fuel consumption thanks to the electric help in the starts and movements at low speed, there are also less polluting emissions, thus achieving the ECO label of the DGT. How much does a hybrid car cost? We are already used to the fact that the electrification of a car makes the resulting car more expensive, sometimes even much more expensive than its thermal-only counterpart. Differences between 3,000 and 5,000 euros are common. It is true that this difference may be occasionally reduced by subsidies, and especially when looking at the operating cost, CTO, where the lower consumption, lower maintenance, subsidies, etc. in the long term will make a HEV can be even more economical than the same car only with a gasoline engine. How much a hybrid consumes? Throughout the entry we have said that an HEV is more efficient and consumes less than a thermal vehicle. And that is easily demonstrated in the homologated figures. But to achieve these figures, among other things, What we have to keep in mind is that a hybrid vehicle should not be driven in exactly the same way as a thermal one. First, we must keep in mind that to reduce consumption, not only the car must be efficient, the driver must also be efficient. We must learn how a hybrid car works. As the main characteristic of an HEV is that it can regenerate energy during deceleration and braking, we must brake. But we must do it in a smooth, progressive and anticipatory way, without letting the mechanical brake act. Slightly stepping on the brake in an HEV is equivalent to downshifting in a thermal car, but in the HEV with the advantage of recharging the battery. To help us in all this, HEVs have energy flow diagrams that will help us, especially at the beginning, to see when we are operating in EV mode, or 100% electric. This will be the most efficient mode. If we manage to spend as much time as possible in EV mode, with acceleration without overdoing it, and using regenerative braking, in the city we can easily get under 4 liters per 100 kilometers. On the road, the heat engine will be used mainly, but the electric motor will help us in accelerations, and if we take advantage of the terrain, for example to lift the foot on the downhill, the battery will be recharged to have energy for the next acceleration. So this is how a hybrid car works. The best thing to do is to try it out and see how we get the most out of it on our usual routes.